All right, today we're going to talk about a medication that almost everyone has heard of, Alprazolam, but you probably know it by its much more famous brand name, Xanax. It's a name that carries a lot of weight, both good and bad. But have you ever stopped to think about how this tiny little pill actually has such a massive effect on the human brain? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. And what we're going to find is that this is the classic double-edged sword. On one hand, it's an incredible tool for people in serious distress. But on the other, it comes with some really significant risks. You can't understand the drug without looking at both sides of that coin. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how it actually calms your brain down. Then we'll talk about what it was designed for as a tool for crisis. After that, we have to look at the dangerous downside. And we'll finish up with the absolute must-know rules for using it safely. Okay, let's get right into the science of it. To really get how Xanax works, you first have to understand something that's already inside you, a sort of brake pedal for your entire nervous system. And that brake pedal? It has a name: GABA. Think of it as your brain's main chill-out chemical. Its whole job is to tell your nerve cells to slow down, to stop firing so much, and to just promote a state of calm. It's what keeps your brain from being in overdrive 24/7. Now here's where it gets really clever. Alprazolam doesn't invent some new process in your brain. All it does is supercharge the system that's already there. It literally latches onto your GABA receptors and makes them way more sensitive. So when your natural GABA comes along, the brakes get slammed on much, much harder. This lets chloride ions rush into the neuron, which makes it super difficult for that cell to get excited. And the result? A massive system-wide slowdown. That feeling is the calm. So with a power like that, what is this stuff actually for? I'll tell you right now, it's not meant for the everyday stresses of life. It's a highly specialized tool, really designed for an acute crisis. The FDA has given it the green light for two main things. First, for the short-term management of generalized anxiety disorder, and believe me, that short-term part is really, really key. Second, and maybe what it's most famous for, is for panic disorder, to literally stop a panic attack in its tracks. And the reason it's so good for panic is its speed. This stuff works fast. We're talking you can feel the effects in less than an hour. If you've ever had a panic attack, you know that getting relief that quickly can feel like a total lifesaver. And this right here, this brings us to the central conflict of Alprazolam, the very thing that makes it so incredible. That fast, powerful relief is directly tied to its biggest danger, a seriously high potential for tolerance, dependence, and, yes, addiction. So let's not shy away from it. That effectiveness leads us right to the dangerous side of the story. And to really get a handle on the risks, we need to talk about three things that are linked but different: tolerance, dependence, and withdrawal. This quote from the source material just says it all. You can't separate the good from the bad. The very same power that brings relief is what paves the road to dependence. They are two sides of the very same coin. So how does this happen? Well, it often follows a pattern, kind of like dominoes falling. It starts with tolerance. Your brain gets used to the drug, so you need more to get that same initial effect. That can lead to dependence, where your brain literally rewires itself and starts to need the drug just to feel normal. And if you try to stop then, you're hit with withdrawal. From there, for some people, it can spiral into addiction, which is that compulsive need to use it no matter what the negative consequences are. And I have to be crystal clear about this next part. This is not something to take lightly. If your body has become dependent, stopping cold turkey is not just going to feel awful, it can actually be life-threatening. Yeah, the withdrawal symptoms are no joke. You get this rebound anxiety that can be even worse than what you started with, plus all sorts of physical stuff like tremors and nausea. But the number one most dangerous risk, the one we have to highlight, is seizures. They can be fatal, and that's why you just can't do this alone. Okay, so after hearing all that, you're probably asking, how can anyone use this powerful tool safely? Well, it is possible, but you have to follow the rules. There are some absolute non-negotiables. And if you only remember one single thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this: Alprazolam slows your nervous system down. So mixing it with anything else that also slows your system down is a potentially deadly recipe. Just look at that top row. We're talking about alcohol and opioids. When you mix them with alprazolam, the effects don't just add up, they multiply. It's an exponential thing. The sedation becomes so intense that it can lead to respiratory depression, which is a fancy way of saying your breathing can slow down so much that it just stops.
And look, it's not just other drugs. Even something that seems harmless, like grapefruit juice, can mess with how your body processes the drug, while something like St. John's wort can make it less effective.
There are also certain groups of people who need to be extra careful. For the elderly, the risk of falls and confusion goes way up. For pregnant women, there's a risk of the baby being born with withdrawal symptoms. And for anyone with serious liver or lung problems, the dangers are just much higher.
Which brings us right back to the single most important rule for stopping this medication. To avoid that terrifying withdrawal we just talked about, the dose must always, and I mean always, be tapered down slowly, bit by bit, under a doctor's care.
Okay, so let's boil it all down. What do you need to remember? 1. This is a short-term tool, not a long-term fix. 2. It works by hitting the gas on your brain's natural brake pedal, GABA. 3. It comes with a high risk of dependence and addiction. 4. Getting off of it can be life-threatening and absolutely requires a doctor. And 5. The big one. Never, ever mix it with alcohol or opioids.
So, what's the final verdict here? Is Xanax a powerful remedy or a dangerous trap? Well, the truth is, it's both. The outcome really isn't in the pill itself. It's in the knowledge, the respect, and the incredible caution with which it's used.